What is going on, sports card fiends? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day. And today we are here with a stock up, stock down for the USMNT game versus Costa Rica. Today, uploading the video very quickly after the game because it's much more positive than compared to the last game where I didn't upload a video after our game versus Panama. So just to cover the last game, in short, I didn't think anyone looked good at all. I especially thought Greg Berhalter looked bad. There were some other players that maybe I could nitpick, but honestly, with the lineup that Greg put out in the last game, I think a lot of people within the space could have told you that isn't a surprising result to see. So with that, I didn't feel it was necessary to make a video about that, but here we are. So now we can do our stock up, stock down from a good result against Costa Rica. Let's go ahead and get on into it. So the most memorable performance of the night for me is Serginho Dest, especially considering where he's been at lately with the team. In the last window, he didn't look very good, and during the summer months, he also looked pretty poor. So a lot of people were starting to speculate maybe he's not as solid in the right back role as we thought. Maybe that position isn't a lock, and in this window, I think he's shown us that he certainly is a lock. Now, personally, I draw it up to La Liga being a much softer league rather than CONCACAF play that's just very physical, very in your face and unapologetic. And so with that, I think it takes time to adapt, and especially to a different style and a physicality level that you're going to have to play to as well. I think it makes sense that it takes him a little bit of time to really get into the flow of things in terms of the CONCACAF play, but thought he did amazing tonight. Obviously, there's the banger that everyone's going to look at, but beyond that, really smooth on the ball, really just full of himself. I always love the confidence that Dest has for us. He's just, overall, I thought he looked really smooth on ball with his passing, really decisive. Dribbling-wise, Dest is always going to be really tricky to deal with, and obviously with the goal, you saw it there. He brings so much to this team, and he's grown more and more into form, which is what you want to see over time, just that slow rolling progression to see where he'll be eventually. And I guess the next leap for him would be to defensively be that sound. It's a lot easier to be the player he is in a game like this that's very open and very controlled by us. It allows him to kind of do his thing and free roam. But can that be a thing against tougher opposition? That will remain to be seen. The next one, I'll just throw all three of them together because I really don't know who to just single out when I feel like they all did so well, and that's the MMA combo in midfield of Musa, McKennie, and Tyler Adams, and just an amazing game. Exactly what you want to see. We got to see the combination go at it for 2 games during this window, and we won both games and controlled both games. So I feel like that was proof enough that this is our 3 going forward. Now, how will Gio Reyna play into that? We'll see. I don't know if Gio Reyna will be thrown up on right wing or if Greg's going to play him in the midfield once we get Pulisic back. It just remains to be seen. The thing is, with World Cup qualifying and just international duty in general, you're not always going to have your best 11 there. So you're going to have to deal with a guy or two missing here and there. And I feel like at this point we've shown that we have enough depth to be able to fill in most positions, just a guy or two. The one position where I'd say we desperately need more depth is at the 6, because Tyler Adams is head and shoulders above anyone for that spot on our team, and he also tends to get injured a little bit, so that's pretty terrifying, honestly. Given that, though, it was an amazing game. I thought Musa really impressed. He impressed me in both the first and the last game, but the middle game was a little rough. I kind of blame that on the supporting cast in the midfield during the middle game. You could tell that we had no control at all there, and he was the only one even trying to advance and really push the game forward. So while it didn't come off in that second game, he still had a really good presence and still was trying a lot of things that I really enjoyed. So you'll take that. Adams, I mean, just as sound as ever. The problem is with stock up, stock down is it's relative to what I think, and I already think so highly of Tyler Adams. I think he's the most necessary person we need on our team in a lineup, and I don't think that that's crazy. I know that people will think, well, we got Pulisic, we got Reyna, why would you say that? Well, we've already proven in this window that if we play the right guys, we can still win without them, and we don't necessarily need them. Now, are they useful? Yes, but if we didn't have Tyler Adams during this window, we're not getting 6 points. That just is what it is. So I love this midfield. I can't wait to see what it does going forward. Again, how will Reyna slot in? We'll have to see in that regard. But what I saw from this window from these guys was just absurd, and so much control over these games. You could just tell in that second game that we had absolutely no handle on the game, and that is purely thanks to the fact that our starting midfield is head and shoulders above our backups. Next, I thought Chris Richards did really well. He looked better than Miles Robinson, who in a lot of people's eyes has become either our first or second best center back. And paired next to him, he definitely didn't look out of place. And Chris Richards was often getting deferred to then break out of the back for us. And that's just a credit to what kind of player he is and the ability that he has. And he looked really clean on ball. Didn't look out of place defensively at all, really bossed the back line, and that's what you want to see. I don't know why we had to wait until the third game to be able to see this out of him, but Greg works in mysterious ways, so I'm glad I at least got to see him start one full 90, because Greg will have you questioning yourself in that regard as to whether or not your player is even in the picture, and so I was a little worried that maybe he wasn't there, but hopefully it plays out that he can be a starting center back going into World Cup 2022. All things giving, and we'll see how that plays out. But overall, I thought he did really good in the game. Didn't look out of place. I mean, it didn't look stellar, but honestly, we didn't have, well, actually, there was a penalty that he might have given away, but at the same time, without VAR and in the situation he was, it was a pretty good block, I guess you could call it that. So, I don't know. He didn't have any massive struggles in the game, and he actually did have a few situations like that where he was very clean in getting back. Now, how much of that is the fact that Costa Rica is a pretty bad team with some quite old players? You know, you could chalk it up to that if you like. I guess we'll have to see more out of Chris Richards, but I thought he was good today. And then the last two stock ups are like just moderate ticks up on their graph, and I'm going to throw Tim Weah in there. I thought he had a really good game going forward for us, really electric on balls, swinging a lot of crosses, really pressing matters forward and being that creative spark that we really needed. Brendan Aronson wasn't as prevalent, so I feel like Weah was a better winger in this game, and Ricardo Pepi didn't have much to offer beyond just getting on the end of stuff. So with that, I felt like Weah was our best forward for this game, and that has to be notable for us. He also was the reason that there was an own goal that was scored. It bounced off the post and then off the keeper and then in, but Weah basically scored the goal, so that was impressive. Beyond that, Gianluca Busio, I was actually nervous whenever he got subbed in because it was the 75th minute. He hasn't played at all during, any of these World Cup qualifiers, and Greg's going to throw him in at the 75th minute when we're only up 2-1. I'm sure he has a lot of confidence now, and that helps build a guy, but for me as a fan that was actually kind of questioning Busio after the Gold Cup, I was just nervous. I'm like, I don't see it. I don't know why we do that now. Greg works again in mysterious ways, and it worked out. And actually, Busio looked really good, really comfortable, and always making the right plays on ball. A lot cleaner than he was in the Gold Cup. Granted, we didn't get to see as much out of him, but I thought he looked really good as well. And so for the stock downs, I really don't have anyone, to be honest. I thought that we all played pretty good. I thought all the players were of a caliber that at least I'd expect. There wasn't anyone that stood out. I guess the only thing I'd say is maybe I never really noticed Brendan Aronson. He scores, he gets assists, he has these moments, but really in a game I don't feel his presence. And so I'll throw that out there. I've always been a little off put by that with Aronson. At the end of the day, we have Pulisic and Reyna who could easily play on the wings as well, and so I personally don't see Aronson being someone that will be a heavy factor in World Cup 2022. So that's just throwing that out there as a little aside. That's really the only note I could make, though. But beyond that, hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode of Stock Up, Stock Down. A little brighter tone. Glad I didn't have to do the last one because it would have just been 10 minutes of me losing my mind. And honestly, I couldn't even, as a fan of soccer content, I couldn't even listen or watch anything after that game because it was so disappointing. We absolutely got dominated on the road by Panama, and I just didn't know what to say. And I still don't, honestly. I think that that game alone is proof that Greg isn't the guy. But it doesn't matter if I think that. I'm just some random dude on the internet. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like on top of that. If you guys want to let me or others know anything, we'd love to see it in a comment down below. And if you want to see more videos like this as soon as I go live, make sure to subscribe. And with that said, hopefully you have a wonderful day, and peace.